All right. How's it going, buddy? Hopefully it is streaming live on Chills right now. As you can tell, I'm a little bit nervous for this live stream like I usually am with all the live streams, so please bear with me there. Thank you all so much for 2 million subscribers. It's absolutely amazing. It feels like just yesterday that we hit 1 million subscribers, and just the growth and the support has just been unreal. There's a couple things I want to talk about in this live stream. I guess a few of them I've never really discussed before on the channel. I'm sure the one that you're the most interested in is the titular "Why do I talk like this?" And we will definitely get to that, as well as, I guess, a little bit of background history into the channels, because I think they kind of they go hand in hand when explaining that whole side. Before we get to that, I'm sure you can see right there, I recently released a small mixtape. It's 4 songs. I know YouTube rap has a pretty bad reputation, and I'm not going to say these songs are good or, mind-blowing by any means, but I definitely poured my heart and soul into just creating something I was happy with. So if you would want to give it a listen and tell me what you think, I would really appreciate that. It is available on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, those more premium streaming services, but it's also available totally for free here on YouTube and on SoundCloud. If you don't care at all about the music, then thank you for sitting through that small plug, and we'll move on to really what else I want to talk about. But all the music links are down below in the description. So, why do I talk like this? It's easily gotta be the question I see the most on the channel, in the comments. In the end, this is my job, right? Chills, top 15. So I always make sure to keep an eye on what the community's saying, kind of the reception that I'm getting, etc., etc. And it's always been my narration style, which seems to be either you really like it or you really don't like it. So, in regards to why I talk like this, it's not really something I have a definitive answer for. I don't have some sort of speech impediment or anything along the lines of that, or maybe I do and I've just never been diagnosed with it. Before I really even started making YouTube videos, I didn't even realize that how I talked was, deemed weird by some people. No one had really ever brought it up with me before. It's really just always been how I've sounded, narrating stuff or speaking out loud. I'm sure when I was in school giving my presentation, I sounded no different than I do now. But when I started Top 15s, I was 16 years old. I was in the 11th grade, I believe. So I was in grade 11, and it was never my intention to be the voice of the channel. I always wanted to be the guy running the channel, but at that time, I had to do everything when making these videos because there simply was no money to bring on other people into these projects. I mean, in the end, I don't want to be trying to rip people off or not paying them what they're worth. So at that point, I just thought it was better if I was doing everything myself. So at that point in the channel, I didn't have any real proper recording equipment. I bought a mic on eBay for $35. And I didn't have like a proper recording area, so I would kind of just get real close to the mic and whisper, not whisper, I guess, but talk more softly, I feel like, than I do now in the videos. And I guess that's why I see sometimes people try to tell me that, oh, I sound completely different in my earlier videos and now it's just some sort of act I'm putting on. I don't know, to piss people off. I really don't understand what would be my motivation behind it, but that's really the only explanation I guess I can think of as to why I would sound any differently in those older videos. Now, I mean, I have a proper recording area. I can speak a lot more fully, and maybe I do sound differently as a result of that. But at that point in the channel, it still felt like I was going to just be the producer. It was still like as soon as, well, I don't want to say as soon as, because at that point I had no idea if the channel was going to be successful. If the channel was successful, I could bring on more people, we could put out more videos, and really establish something. And the comments I was seeing at the beginning, just because I would say I was really not used to it at the time, were definitely, I would say, bothering me more. So I knew, or I guess I figured at that point, that it would be better to bring on somebody else. And if you followed Top 15s over the last couple years, there's been a variety of really, really talented voice actors on the channel. Like, I've never just been the only narrator on Top 15s. And for a while that was working, and I thought that was going to be kind of the future of the channel. But I found myself, I guess, just more and more uninterested by just producing and kind of just moderating the channel. I felt like I was a lot less involved in the content I was trying to make. And I just don't think that was really, like, I just don't think I was getting the fulfillment out of the channel I was looking for, the fulfillment of getting to create this sort of content. And I think I took some time just to figure out what was going to be that next step, because I felt like I just really couldn't stay on that path with just being less and less involved in the channels. And I also realized that I couldn't really connect with my audience in the same way. Top 15s, right? In the end, it's not really, it's hard to grow a connection with just something that it feels a lot more like a business-sided channel than Chills really ever has. Like, Chills has always felt like a more personal channel to me. So, I guess the downsides, there's up and downsides to that, right? I'm sure people can say, why does it matter? Or, maybe I don't even necessarily deserve to have that relationship with my audience, but I think it was something I always just really wanted to have. I felt passionate about, connecting with my audience, because I know in the end, none of this would be possible without you guys. So I really took the next couple months and knew I kind of had to grow personally to a level that negativity wouldn't bother me enough, that I would be willing to be more involved in the channel, that I'd be willing to put myself out there, and whether the results are positive or negative, that I would be happy that I at least attempted that. So I was feeling real motivated at this point. I purchased proper recording equipment. I had the idea around that time for the Chills channel, which is this one right here. And I figured that this would be the channel that, if you did like what I was doing on YouTube, if you liked how I narrated, if you liked the content I was making, this could be the channel for it. And I think Top 15s was just going to stay on that route where it was just a lot less personal than Chills. So I stayed on that route for a while. I still had some very, very talented voice actors on Top 15s and people, I really do. I'm still thankful to this day because they really did help grow the channel. But I would say the downside is with the more people that you work on or work with, the more you rely on other people for like deadlines and helping out with making the content, that I just found it was easier if I was the one narrating the videos. Like I just found I could shave, 1-2 days off the production process because, the videos that we make, it's not really, it's not just like, you just start working and you do from start to finish like an entire video. Like, that can take 20-30 hours of work to make one video that I just found it was more efficient. And I think at that point, I realized the negativity that was coming around my narrations. I really just couldn't let that bother me or really stop from, or I guess like hindering what I wanted to do with YouTube. And I realized that not everybody likes the way I narrate, and there's really nothing wrong with that. The reality of the internet is, if you put anything out on the internet, not 100% of people are gonna like it. And to me, it's always, I've come to realize that it's all worth it for the people who do enjoy the content. And, do watch the videos and watch, I guess, the things I'm trying to create on this platform, that it was all just gonna be worth it in the end. And it was never really like, like a trolling attempt, or I was just doing this for attention. I was really just being myself, and it kind of seemed like things were doing better, like the channels were doing better by me just being more involved. I think I was putting out better content as a result. I do feel like, I have some very, very strong supporters who, are checking out all the videos that I'm putting out. I mean, just even the fact that you're watching this live stream now, that support is just amazing to me. And I understand, like, really any video that I put out and the ones that blow up kind of beyond the community of Chills, the discussion just eventually just turns into talking about my voice. I get roasted in every video, but I've really just come to terms with that happening. It's really all good with me. I've really come to not really take those sort of comments seriously. And I think, I am worthy of some criticism. I believe any sort of, whether it's a video, a movie, like a TV show, music, it's always worthy of criticism. There's always something that could be fixed or be improved upon. And I don't want to just be surrounded by people who, just tell me that what I'm doing is, fantastic 100% of the time, because I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I've seen mistakes I've made with videos in the past, certain decisions that I guess I've made on this journey that I've certainly regretted, but I feel like I've grown a lot as a person as a result. And I feel like by kind of removing that power of the negativity, it's really allowed me to put myself out there a lot more, whether it's with the Instagram or even something like this where I'm just talking to you guys face to face with really what's on my mind. Personally, I'm a quite anxious person, for lack of a better term, and stuff like this is I wouldn't say the easiest things for me to do, but I really just felt like the opinion that I have on this could be motivational in other aspects of like people's lives, in the case that you can't really let people's negativity stop you or hinder from what you want to do with your life or by following your dreams. And there's many aspects of that. Even if you're a brand new creator and you haven't really hit your peak of the content or the quality of the content that you're willing to make, and you're getting negativity as a result of that, the only way to get better is just to persevere and just keep doing it over and over again. And just to relate to the music, right? I don't mean to be like plugging it just for the sake of plugging it, but I feel like I'm also putting something out there that I expect people, or a good chunk of people, not to like. I mean, I'm just a native kid from Canada with really no music background, but I feel like, it's just something I felt passionate about, something that I wanted to try and do, and in the end, I'm happy with the end result. But I've accepted the fact with that as well that, there's going to be people that don't like it, and it really is. It's all good. If you see negative comments, please don't, start an argument with them or feel the need to defend me in that regard. I know that always comes from a place of love, but it's just kind of, I feel like, feeding into the people who, like, they kind of want that reaction from people, right? And sure, it's entertaining, and kind of the drama around it is quite entertaining, but I just feel like it's just not worth it in the end just to even acknowledge those people. But by me saying that, I mean, I'm not trying to censor anybody who doesn't like my content. I feel like I do a pretty good job of like not even deleting those comments, even if people are really laying into me, because one of the amazing parts about the internet, right, is anybody can share their opinion, whether it's good or bad. I still think it's just amazing that we live in a day and age where a platform like this even exists. So yeah, I mean, thank you very much if you do support my content, or I just really hope the points I was trying to make came across. I don't really have like a script I'm going by, word for word as what I'm trying to say here, but I guess just really the point I'm trying to make is, if you believe in something, or if there's something that you want to do in life, don't let really anybody stop you, because really in the end, you're responsible for the path you choose in life and the fate of those decisions. So, to answer the question, why do I narrate like this? It's really just the voice I've ended up with. I don't know. Some people have suggested speech therapy. I think I'm just going to pass on that. I've always just been comfortable with how I talked. And really, I think, in my opinion, it kind of suits the videos that I'm making. I don't think if I was sounding all hyped up or like happy-go-lucky and I'm talking about some pretty dark topics, that it would really suit what the emotions I'm trying to bring out with those. Like, a lot of the videos I make, they're scary, right? Like, they're meant to scare you. And I hope that the narration contributes to that fact instead of takes away from it. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to say on that matter. I hope I answered some questions regarding it. I haven't looked at the chat or really the viewers at all yet, just because I didn't want to get distracted from what I was trying to say. There's a few other things I wanted to bring up in this live stream, the 2 million subscriber special here. The Instagram super poll, which, is a community favorite, has finally been disbanded after, I think, it was running for about 6 months. 6 months super poll. And, pardon me. Some more info on the mixtape. And I also got a couple of stories to tell. I thought it would be pretty fun. You guys really seemed to enjoy the last live stream around. So, let's talk about the super poll first. The Instagram super poll. Do you believe in ghosts? It was featured in every video. And what originally started, and this is just me being honest with you guys, it was supposed to be a fun way to increase interaction on the Instagram. I didn't want to do something where, oh hey, I was promising like, oh hey, you like a photo, you're gonna get an iPhone, or something crazy like that. So I was just trying to think of something fair in that regard. What I found out was that it seemed to be like more popular than I guess I'd ever anticipated, and the system I had set up for it, there's really no way to actually keep track of the results, which is totally on me. Clearly, I didn't think it 100% of the way through. What I personally saw was that more people definitely said yes. I had a lot of good reads for people telling me why they didn't believe in the paranormal. I still think it was kind of a fun idea, and I think it was a cool way to kind of get more of my viewers' opinions regarding these matters. So let's decide right now. The super poll, rest in peace. I'm going to say it was more people said yes, but how about you guys answer this in the chat right now? Leave a yes in the chat if you believe in ghosts, and leave a no in the chat if you don't, and we'll decide it at the end of the stream. So, the mixtape, another thing, an endeavor into some uncharted territory. So I've been doing YouTube for a couple of years now. I've watched a couple waves start here and there on YouTube with rap music, whether it was diss tracks or, I don't know, just some more poorly written rap songs. I'm not trying to really diss anybody or start drama in that regard, but I knew if I was going to do this, I couldn't really do anything similar to that or anything close in that regard. And I found when I was like writing music, what I was ultimately writing seemed to be some more like depressing stuff. I was listening to like a lot of like Lil Peep at the time, like X, God rest both their souls. When I was a kid, or I guess not a kid, but growing up, I listened to a lot of Odd Future, Young Lean. I feel like all those guys ultimately have some influence on this project. And there is a story behind these 4 songs that I don't know really how clear it is from listening to it, but I can explain it now as to the storyline behind those 4 songs. So the songs are in this order. It goes Sidelined, All in My Head, I Hope You're Doing Well, and Red Eyes. So there's a timeline here, a story going on about addiction and ultimately relapse. And I'm going to kind of explain this all in third person terms just because it's going to be a lot easier to tell the story. So, sideline. We're faced with an individual who is in a lifestyle of addiction. The habits that they have are quite old. It's the lifestyle that he's used to, but there's a clear want for change in that song. Maybe one lyric, for example, part ways with the life I chose. And I'm sure anyone here that's battled with addiction, it's a lot easier said than done. But by the end of that song, that individual decides that they want to get clean, they want to clean up their lives, and they ultimately decide to make the change. Song number 2, All in My Head. So that's representing the psychological withdrawals associated with removing yourself from that addiction or that habit. I think there's quite a few lines really showcasing a severe depression, an obsession with the habit, but there's still a very clear understanding that this individual knows that the habit is wrong, the lifestyle is wrong, and it starts with the first line there saying, "Can I right my wrongs?" And by the time the chorus is reached, made it through a verse, he has relapsed. This individual has relapsed. They're back into their old habits. So then we get into song number 3. I hope you're doing well. And there's a real sadness. I would say this is the most depressing song on this whole project. There's a real sadness associated with the relapse that he couldn't really follow through without wanting to change. And, the habit started out so perfect in the beginning, but, he ultimately grew to hate it. That's why it's like, you're so special, dare I say perfect. Yeah, not anymore. You don't deserve it. And ultimately, it comes to the realization or the mindset that this habit will never be broken. And that's where you see the lines like, "You're going to die with me," like he's going to die with this addiction. And it becomes also clear in this song, or at least, I shouldn't say it becomes clear, but like these are the points I was trying to make. Like this was the thinking kind of behind these songs, that it also becomes clear that this wasn't his first attempt at getting clean and making this change. And with the lyric, for example, "Parting ways, why you back again?" He's tried parting ways with this habit before, but it always seems to come back around, and he's kind of right back where he started. And the song 4, "Red Eyes," is kind of where everything just falls apart. And it's easily the most upbeat song on the whole project, but I think lyrically and the meaning behind it, it's honestly the darkest song, because this habit that this individual has is so clearly getting worse, but they've just shifted their mindset that they're in complete denial about it getting worse. And you see that relationships falling apart all around him, things getting hairy, sign of the times, which is also I thought it was a clever line. Harry Styles, he's got that hit song "Sign of the Times," but things getting hairy, like things are getting bad here, and it's just an indication of what's going on. This individual gets kicked out of his house in this song. Screw a bed, sleep on the floor anyways. That he's like, oh, it doesn't even matter, right? I'll just sleep on the floor. It's all good. Basically homeless at this point in the mixtape, or I guess the project. And the new relationships that are forming in this individual's lives are, people with very similar habits and lifestyles. You see the lyric there, "On your teeth be the pill grit." And it ends, I would say, on a very somber note where it says, "Said I would stop, but I'm at it again." So, ultimately wanted change, but sometimes change doesn't happen the way we want. And ultimately ends on, yeah, just like a pretty somber note that there was a clear indication for wanting to make amends and make a new life for this individual at the beginning of the project. And by the end of it, things have just gotten completely worse. And this individual has just decided to say, screw it. This is just kind of doesn't even want to make the change anymore. Because, you know, most of the time, not making that change is the easier thing to do. But I guess I also want to say it's like anybody who has battled addiction or trying to be rid of a habit really in any extent. It's a very hard thing to do. And I don't want people to think like, oh, this is the... What am I trying to say here? Like that this is an acceptable or like, oh, this is the best route or the best ending. I know I ended it on a pretty sad ending, but you know, a lot of people do manage to achieve their goals in that regard. And I really do wish upon anybody that is looking to get clean or is looking to make a better life for themselves that hopefully they can persevere, even though battling addiction is one of really the hardest things a person can do. And in the end, it is a disease. And I guess I've always been a big believer in, I guess, having resources available for people who do want to make a change. And I'm from Canada. I know those options seem a lot more readily available here just with kind of how the public healthcare system works. I don't know how it is in America, but you know, I really do hope from the bottom of my heart that anybody who does want to make that change, those resources are available to them. In regards to the music, I'm really just trying to get better. I'm really just trying to, you know, spread this, maybe not even like a message, right? But I feel like I'm trying to bring out an emotion or really just try to make something relatable, just to even some struggles that I've dealt with in life. And if you are interested in giving a listen, fantastic. If not, it's not a big deal. I don't really want anybody to feel pressure to check out this project. I know it's very different from the content I normally create on YouTube, but it was really just something I felt passionate about doing and something I really did want to give a try. But let's move on from that. I'm sure if you don't care about the music at all, you're totally sick of hearing it. Probably at this point, you're not even watching the live stream anymore. I still haven't really checked on the chat or the viewers in this live stream. Not because I don't care about what you guys have to say. I just really wanted to say the things I wanted to in this live stream. I've been thinking a lot about doing this live stream. What was the best way to kind of handle it? I was really nervous that the points I was trying to make or the things I wanted to say weren't going to come across properly. I really hope that they have, and I don't really come across as pretentious or trying to minimize really anything about the realities of what goes on with the channels, or I guess really what I'm doing here on YouTube. But really, the only other thing I really wanted to talk about with you guys past this point is a couple stories I had in mind. Ended on a bit more of a lighthearted note. So, I had about 3 that I wanted to tell. If you guys got time to stick around. I was thinking about streaming for about 50 minutes to an hour, so we got about 20 minutes for stories here. The first one. So there's a YouTuber, I believe it's Domix. He makes these really cool animated videos. And he has one on buying used things off like Craigslist, or here in Canada, it's Kijiji. And I watched this video and I was like, wow, that's like, you know, he's got a pretty good story there. And I was thinking back, and I kind of had a similar story for just a really, really weird experience that I had buying something online. Even though I wasn't the one buying it, I was just kind of there. So, my cousin lives in a very rural part of Canada. They were visiting us in Calgary, which is, you know, a big city, at least for Canadian standards. And he wanted to buy an Xbox 360 because, you know, it was like those were the consoles at the time, right? Like the 360, the PS3. So he's searching high and low on Kijiji, the Canadian Craigslist, for an Xbox. And he finds this like Xbox 360, brand new, for $60. And I think they retailed at that point, it was like 200, maybe it was $299, I think. I could be wrong about that though, but I can guarantee it was 200 plus. So probably what happened was these 360s were stolen. But it seemed like he was aware of that fact, but really didn't care. I mean, an Xbox is an Xbox. So my mom drives the two of us to go pick it up because, you know, obviously he didn't want to go alone. We're like 13, 14 at the time. So we go in, and it's like this condo building. And it's a 1-bedroom condo. But there's like 6 to 8 people just cramped in this condo. And like, it became very obvious that all these people were living there. People had little setups with sleeping bags. There was 2 people who kind of had sleeping arrangements on the couch. And the guy who was selling the Xbox, he was, I guess, the one renting or owning the condo because he had his own room. So kind of say hi to these people. I think at this point we were both decently nervous. You know, you go into a stranger's place and there's, you know, 8 strangers there. Oh, I guess 9 plus the guy. And we go into this guy's room because that's where he says the Xbox is. And he opens up his closet and there's just a full stack, like 10 360s, 10 PS3s, just in the corner of this guy's closet. He just picks up the 360 on the top, hands it to my cousin, says it's going to be $60, so he gives him the money. And we're just trying to get out of there, but they keep like, you know, they're like asking us all these like, you know, questions like, I don't know, just like, I would say not really questions like personal, but they were trying to like sell us other stuff. And like, you know, the guy was like trying to pressure me into buy one. I'm telling the guy I have no money on me. He's like trying to get our numbers so, you know, I can come pick one up at a later time. Like, you know, just real sketchy situation. So I'm pretty sure like he wrote his number down on like a piece of paper or something. And he was like, you know, if you ever have a friend that needs a console, like I'm your guy. So we're like, okay, thank you, I guess. And we take off, and I was so adamant to my cousin at this point. I was like, I bet you're going to open it, and there's not even going to be a 360 in the box. Like, something just seems so fishy about this entire situation. He opens the box, and there's a brand new 360 in there, and I'm pretty sure he's had it ever since. So, personally, I never went back and bought my own console from this individual, but I guess at least my cousin didn't get ripped off. But I think after that point, if I ever bought anything online, I was like, hey, let's meet at Starbucks or Tim Hortons, like somewhere public, because it feels really weird being in a complete stranger's house that's just packed with people that, you know, you ultimately met on the internet. But one other one that I wanted to talk about, and I think it happened a little while ago now, that I was on Instagram and I see that these people are tagging me in something, and it's Dan Harmon. And if you don't know who Dan Harmon is, he's the co-creator of Rick and Morty. I believe he also created Community, which is a good show. And I'm sure a few other pieces of work that I'm just not personally familiar with. But I love Rick and Morty and I love Community. So I was so hyped that, just even the guy was aware of my content, right? And I'm just going to be honest, the guy was completely roasting me. But I was just so happy, right? Like, it was so crazy that an individual like that was even aware of what I was doing. And I've done a few videos on Rick and Morty in the past. Here, I'll pull it up on my phone here. But yeah, so I said, I guess I was asking people to comment like, oh, I should voice a character in the new season of Rick and Morty. And it's like a total dream of mine. I know it's not gonna happen, but I think it would be pretty funny. And like I'm like, I don't think anybody's gonna see this that's involved in the show. But if that opportunity is ever available, I will definitely say yes. Let's see. I believe this is a...
Three scariest YouTube videos found on YouTube. Number 3, Cereal Bowl. This creepy video has never been seen by more than a dozen people since it was originally posted. However, if you do find it, I don't recommend you watch it, as it depicts the real ravings of a madman eating from a cereal bowl. How it ended up on the Reddit thread Creepy Creepies is not known. Number 2, Clown Video. This clown video has a clown in it. If you find it and you watch it, I recommend you maintain your sanity, as I watched it and have never been the same. Number 1, Wedding Reception. This Greek Orthodox wedding reception had too many toasts and they went on far too long. Guests complained that they got sleepy and had to go home. To get more creepy video lists with subscriptions and likes, please keep a channel on the top 3 scariest YouTube.
Just getting roasted by the guy. So I don't know if he was a fan of the content, but I'm certainly a fan of his work. And one other thing I wanted to bring up that I thought would make for a funny story. As Chills grows larger and larger. And I guess one thing I really did want to establish with this live stream is it's not like some act that I'm putting on talking like this. So I'm noticing that more and more people are just recognizing me from me talking, right? And I'm not trying to be like narcissistic telling these stories, but I do think they're quite funny how these have actually happened. So the first one, I was hanging out with some friends from high school. We wanted to order some pizza. So I call Panago. Shout out Panago. I'm sure most of you guys aren't familiar with it. It's a Canadian pizza chain. And I call up the number and I start ordering. And we're like 2 questions in. I'm giving my information on the address. And she goes, "Is this Chills?" And I'm on speakerphone, right? So all my friends could hear this. And I'm just like, yeah, it is. And she's like, "Oh, I was just watching your videos." So I guess work must have been a little slow that day. And we were chatting a little bit, and I guess the call center was based in British Columbia, and she was like a fan of the content, so it was really cool, I guess, just to spontaneously have this conversation with somebody who supports what I'm doing. And then, the next couple of times I saw those guys, they're always giving me flack for it, but it's pretty funny how it just felt so spontaneous, like just out of nowhere, right? And then another instance, I recently went to New York for the first time, about a month or 2 ago now. And we're doing some shopping, man, Urban Outfitters. And one of the guys that works there comes up to us and asks us if we need any help. And I'm like, "No thanks, man, we're good." And we're just about to leave, and he's like, "Hey, you're the guy who does those scary videos on YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And he's like, oh my God, like, just getting all hype, and we're just kind of having some fun with it, right? And it was just kind of funny because that was just the one time that I was recognized on that trip, and it was purely because of my voice. I don't even think he knew who I was. He had just kind of seen like a video or two of mine, stumbled across them, and just completely recognized me from my voice. So, both of them, shout out to those two. They were both really cool people. If you ever see me out in public, out in Calgary or down in the States, because I feel like I travel there quite a bit, if you see me, feel free to come up and say hi, and we'll definitely have a little chat. And really, if you have any questions for me, I'm always open for it. I don't think I'm ever going to be a person who goes to like VidCon or any conventions like that, because I feel like I'm not really, I'm just not that kind of like personality. But I really enjoy having one-on-one conversations with the people who watch my videos or, pardon me, support what I'm doing. So yeah, if you ever see me in public, feel free to come up and say hi. I had one that I wasn't planning on telling, but actually just happened the other day. I was at Calgary, the city I live in. We have this Stampede, and the Stampede is like, it's a massive, they claim it's the world's biggest rodeo. Everyone just pretends to be like a Westerner for 2 weeks, and you go, and it's like, you eat a bunch of food that's bad for you. If rides are your things, you go do that. Personally, I hate rides. They petrify me, so I just kind of hang out and eat food. And we're walking out, and I'm with just a couple friends. These two guys come up to me, and they're just like, they definitely had a few drinks at that point, and you're like, oh my God, it's Chills. I go up, and like, these guys run up to me. I'm like giving them hugs and stuff, and they're like just so hyped, and they're like, say the Burger King foot lettuce. So I got the guy, like, he wanted to put it on his story, right? So I said the line for him, and took a picture with those guys. And it was really funny, right? I don't know, like, just, I don't want to be going out in public, like, preparing myself or just, like, anticipating, like, oh, hey, I'm this popular on the internet, so I'm going to get recognized everywhere I go. Like, I know in the end that'll never be the case. Nor do I want to be really ever, like, that kind of person who's just, like, seeking out that sort of attention. But it's always really cool just to like cross paths with those people. I'm a big believer in fate, and it's like I was meant to cross paths with those individuals. Everybody who I've met who supports the content I'm making. Everyone who I've met, it's always been like, it's just been a real positive experience. Like, I actually really enjoy having those conversations with people. And, I really hope just to cross paths with a lot more of you guys in the future. I'm sure more times when I go to the States, maybe I don't know, maybe be a little bit more transparent with like, hey, I'm heading down to LA, or I'm heading down to Houston for this week, right? And then maybe we could schedule, I don't want to do like a formal meetup, but like, hey, I'm at this place right now. If you're in the area, like, come say hi and we'll see what happens. I think that would just be cooler than, just having this big crowd and just trying to speak to a crowd. I appreciate more one-on-one conversations with people. But yeah, that's really all the things I wanted to touch on in this stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel like I was just rambling for close to 50 minutes. I really do hope I made the points I was trying to make. As I said before, this is all just coming from the heart, so hopefully I didn't offend anybody, or you guys differently of me in a poor regard based on my opinions that I have towards like maybe the negativity that comes with the channel. Maybe some people think I should be more harsh with the people who don't like my content, but I just know in the end it's just like it's always going to be something that I deal with on YouTube or really social media in general, and I feel so passionate about it now that I don't think I'm ever going to let that negativity stop me. And the support that I see from you guys, it really, really does mean the world to me. Like it's still just, it's insane that we're hitting 2 million subscribers on this channel. I think it was the 4th grade that I heard about YouTube. And ever since then, I always wanted to be a YouTuber. And I never actually thought it would happen. And then we're here now. It's unreal. And as I said, if you saw that Instagram video I put out for the milestone, like I can't wait to see what the future holds. I think 2018 will be a cool year, and we'll see what happens after that. But I think I'm gonna get going now. Again, thank you all for your support. Let me know what you think of the mixtape if you want to check it out. If not, it's all G. And I really do hope you have a good weekend. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I'm sure I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.